Americans.
Got a large body, 10 clicks back, bearing 360 in closing. Why would anybody be following us? 30, maybe platoon strength, maybe more.
Sir, we got a problem. We got possible hostiles on our 6. You know why anybody would be following us?
No, I don't.
What do you got?
Counted 7 so far, sir.
Could be more noches.
Sir, we could go around them to the north.
Flea, you got the Zippo?
Roger that.
Going at it all day.
On sight.
Roger. It's okay. I'm here to help you. Boss, let me take a look at that. Look at your work. Baby's dead. Your soul and the souls of all the dead rest in peace.
They cut off the breasts of nursing mothers
How can they do this?
so that they'll never again feed their own babies.
I need the morphine.
The beginning of the movie depicts the chaos in Nigeria resulting from prolonged tensions between ethnic groups eventually reaches climax. One ethnic group led by Mustafa Yakubu stages a coup against the duly elected president, Samuel Azuka. At that time, Nigeria had a population of 120 million, with over 250 ethnic groups in the country. This triggers ethnic wars, especially between the Fulani tribe in the north and the Igbo tribe in the south, leading to the deaths of thousands. Not only did Yakubu's forces overthrow the president, but they also engaged in ethnic cleansing of the Ibo tribe. As a result, the remaining Ibo people are forced to leave the city and seek refuge in a safer place. Consequently, the United States government decides to evacuate all its citizens in Nigeria to a location offshore Africa. A reporter is seen broadcasting the latest news on the conflict in Nigeria. It is revealed that the entire family of President Samuel Azuka has been executed by rebel groups.
I repeat, the entire presidential family has been assassinated.
Lieutenant Waters Tim has just returned from Nigeria after successfully evacuating the U.S. Embassy. However, a new mission awaits them.
Gentlemen, do appreciate you've been hopping out there, but we're gonna have to put you back in.
Captain Bill orders them to return and evacuate Dr. Lena Kendricks, along with a priest and 2 nuns. The mission is scheduled to last no more than 3 days. Captain Bill informs them that at the evacuation site, there will be at least 5,000 Yakubu rebel forces, along with local militias going to villages to massacre the Ibo ethnic group. The evacuation mission begins, and Lieutenant Waters' team parachutes into the designated location. Upon arrival, they meet Dr. Lena Kendricks, who happens to be performing surgery on a patient. Fortunately, Danny, a medic on the team, can take over, allowing Lieutenant to convey the purpose of their visit. However, Dr. Lena Kendricks refuses to leave without the people there.
You could fly these people out in a half-hour's time, Lieutenant.
Can't do that, man.
Why not?
Because my orders are very clear. Evacuate the priest, you, and the 2 nuns.
Lieutenant then contacts the command center to inquire about it, but doesn't receive permission. After considering the situation, Lieutenant eventually agrees to evacuate the residents there, with the condition that only those who can walk will join the convoy. They then prepare to leave.
Helicopters for them too?
Yes, ma'am. We can only take the people that can move under their own power.
I understand.
The priest and 2 nuns choose not to go, as they are not a top priority for the mission. Lieutenant doesn't object to this. The residents and Lieutenant's team begin walking toward LZ Alpha, the helicopter pickup point.
Easy, Doc. Watch your step.
Night falls as they have covered a considerable distance, and some children need medical attention. Lieutenant decides to take a brief rest.
Lieutenant.
I heard you. Perimeter up. Ma'am, we gonna take Verity.
However, danger suddenly approaches. Local militias arrive and are about to cross their area. They quickly move to avoid detection.
Gaini? Gaini?
LT, straggler, danger close.
The next morning, Yakubu's forces led by Colonel Sadik reached the church. Ruthlessly, they slaughtered all the remaining villagers in the village.
Commander, please. This is a house of God. Commander, no! No! No, signore. No. Signore. No, no.
Meanwhile, Lieutenant's convoy had reached LZ Alpha. They signaled with yellow smoke to make their position visible to the pickup helicopter.
This is Star 1, my ETA, your location 5 minutes.
Damn it, let's go, we're late!
Unexpectedly, only 2 helicopters arrived. Lieutenant Waters had deceived Dr. Lena Kendricks. They were only evacuating Dr. Lena Kendricks and leaving the other residents behind.
You never planned on taking all of us out, did you? You lied to me! You lied to me! Liar! Bastard!
Dr. Lena Kendricks was angry and refused to leave the residence. However, Lieutenant Waters remained unmoved and left the residents there.
Let's go!
From the helicopter, they were shown the aftermath of the massacre at the church. Seeing Dr. Lena Kendricks so devastated, Lieutenant Waters canceled the flight and returned to the pickup point. Upon reaching the pickup point, Lieutenant Waters ordered that children, the elderly, and the injured be evacuated first by helicopter, while they would continue the journey to LC Bravo, the next pickup point. While on the way, Captain Bill contacted them and inquired about the issue. Lieutenant would request a pickup at LC Bravo. However, due to dangerous terrain and high risks, Captain Bill did not grant their request.
We're no longer entering Nigerian airspace. We'll give you all the help we can from this end, but right now you are on your own.
Therefore, unwillingly, they had to walk to the Cameroon border as a last resort. Yakubu's rebel forces reached LZ Alpha and found traces of their smoke grenade. The rebel forces continued to hunt Lieutenant Waters' team while they were resting. Lieutenant's team began to realize that they were being pursued by about 1 rebel platoon. Lieutenant Waters then asked Dr. Lena Kendricks why the platoon was chasing them, and Dr. Lena Kendricks said she did not know. They then continued their journey. They continued the journey until they reached a village. It turned out that a massacre of the Ibo tribe by local militia forces was taking place in the village.
Give me the binoculars.
Roger that.
Silk, close up that bag.
Lee, keep your eye on the package.
Roger that.
Boss, you want me to take a look at that?
Sure, you got any? Look at your work.
The road was the only route for them to reach the Cameroon border. Unavoidably, they had to eliminate the local militia forces. After successfully clearing the local militia, they rested again at night. Dr. Lena Kendricks then offered to treat the wounds on Lieutenant's arm caused by the attack earlier that day. Morning arrived, and Slowensky informed Lieutenant that the rebels were getting closer, only about a 2-hour journey away. Their suspicions of a traitor among the residents grew. Lieutenant then interrogated the residents and asked Dr. Lena Kendricks who among them had joined him 3 days ago. Dr. Lena Kendricks then pointed out 3 people among the residents, and one of them suddenly fled.
Let's go. Step forward.
These people.
Step forward, you two. Right.
LT!
Indeed, upon inspection, he was found carrying the sought-after transmitter. He was forced to do so because his family had been taken hostage by the rebel forces. He was required to follow and report the whereabouts of Arthur Azuka and Naka, then force the residents to provide information. Lieutenant Waters threatened to kill someone if the residents did not speak.
Don't fuck with me. 4.
Please.
Unable to bear it, a young man named Arthur Azuka stopped him and revealed that he was the only surviving son of the president and the head of the Ibo tribe. That's why the rebels were pursuing them after learning this fact. Lieutenant Waters then continued the journey. However, Red had to stay behind, placing C4 bombs in the area the rebels would pass.
No!
Seeing this, the rebels contacted their members near the Cameron border to intercept Lieutenant Waters' convoy from the front so that the rebel forces behind could catch up with Lieutenant Waters' team. Meanwhile, Captain Bill contacted Lieutenant Waters again. He wanted to confirm if the information about the former president's son, Arthur Azuka, being with them was true, and he urged Lieutenant Waters to abandon them as it would risk the relationship between the U.S. and the new Nigerian regime. However, Lieutenant firmly refused, and after that, Captain promised to try to provide air support as soon as possible. Lieutenant Waters would inquire about the team's decision, whether they would leave Arthur and the other residents or continue to bring them to the border.
Let's get these people to safety. I can't lead them, sir.
The majority of the team answered that they would try to protect the Ibo tribe residents. Meanwhile, rebel forces began to block them from the front. Black, who served as the scout, felt something was amiss. He ordered Lieutenant to stop their movement for a moment.
Clear, LT.
He's all right. One on the shoulder, clean hit, though.
Sorry, sir. You caught me sleeping.
And the rebels blocking them were successfully defeated.
Listen, we gotta get out of here, all right?
Slow! God damn it!
However, the rebels behind managed to approach them, and another fierce battle ensued.
Lay down, cover fire for Red on my mark!
Lieutenant instructed the residents to go first, while their forces held off the onslaught from the rebel forces until one by one, their members were killed.
Hold the line!
Finally, they reached the border, but the Cameroonian soldiers refused to open the gate.
Please, let us through. Please. Coming in. Fuck. Stop.
Upon hearing the call from the bomber plane, they signaled with smoke bombs. Lieutenant still allowed the plane to bombard the area, risking his life. Fortunately, Lieutenant Waters and 3 others survived. Shortly after that, Captain Bill arrived with a letter to open the gate. The refugees were allowed to enter the border, and they all thanked Lieutenant A.K.'s team.
Welcome back, Lieutenant.
Arthur Azuka then encouraged his people, and Lieutenant's forces were evacuated for further medical treatment. This story will focus on a Japanese soldier from the Independent Infantry Regiment named Tamura, who was assigned in the Philippines. At that time, Tamura was reprimanded by his superiors for suffering from tuberculosis, considered useless due to his condition. Tamura was ordered by his superior to seek medical treatment at the hospital. The superior then provided Tamura with 3 sweet potatoes as provisions. After that, Tamura hurriedly went to the hospital. Upon arrival, Tamura saw a doctor treating several injured Japanese soldiers. Tamura informed the doctor that he had tuberculosis and was ordered by his superior to receive treatment at the hospital. However, the doctor did not respond and instead asked for the provisions given by his superior to feed the soldiers being treated. Until the evening, Tamura continued to wait at the hospital, but not long after, the doctor asked Tamura to leave, stating that his condition was not too severe. Tamura returned to his base, but his superior scolded him again. His superior insisted that Tamura return to the hospital for treatment and prohibited him from returning to the base until he received medical care. Moreover, Tamura was instructed to commit suicide if no doctor was willing to treat him. The superior once again gave Tamura sweet potatoes and ordered him to leave. On the way, Tamura saw a civilian hut. He approached the hut and saw food inside. Shortly after, Tamura met the civilian owner of the hut. Tamura threatened them with his weapon, demanding the food in the hut. However, the civilians left when Tamura chased them. Tamura noticed many Japanese soldiers' heads on a tree near the hut, left there out of fear, abandoning the hut. Upon reaching the hospital, Tamura saw several Japanese soldiers not being accepted by the hospital. Tamura chose to join them, knowing that the doctor would not be willing to treat him. A soldier named Nagamatsu offered to exchange his cigarettes for the food Tamura brought. Tamura gave him his sweet potatoes and refused Nagamatsu's cigarettes because Tamura was not a smoker. That night, Tamura witnessed a soldier being chased and beaten by nurses for stealing food at the hospital. Shortly after, the hospital was attacked from the air by American planes. Japanese soldiers fled into the forest, leaving Tamura alone. The next day, Tamura walked aimlessly through the forest. His tuberculosis worsened, and Tamura ran out of food. Eventually, Tamura collapsed. Upon regaining consciousness, he saw cassava plants nearby. Tamura immediately pulled out the cassava plant and ate it raw, but because he ate it raw, Tamura experienced stomach pain. Days passed and Tamura continued to wander through the forest without direction. His tuberculosis worsened and Tamura no longer had food supplies. Eventually, Tamura found an abandoned civilian settlement. While Tamura was searching for food, a dog suddenly attacked him. After that, Tamura continued his journey and saw a church nearby. Tamura saw many Japanese soldiers' bodies inside the church. Tamura entered the church and rested on a church pew. Upon waking up, Tamura heard civilians approaching the church. Tamura hid, but shortly after, the civilians discovered Tamura's presence. Tamura tried to communicate with them, but due to the language barrier, they couldn't understand each other. One of them kept shouting something incomprehensible to Tamura. Panicking, Tamura shot him. Tamura kept walking aimlessly through the forest. Eventually, he encountered several Japanese soldiers from another unit who were heading to Palampon. They informed Tamura that all personnel on the island were ordered to retreat to Palampon, and Tamura decided to join them. That night, they rested and blamed the bonfire. The soldiers asked Tamura about his occupation before becoming a soldier, and he revealed that he was a writer. They also shared with Tamura that they survived on Nugini Island by consuming human flesh. The next day, they continued their journey. In transit, they were attacked from the air by American planes, resulting in casualties. However, Tamura managed to survive, and they continued their journey, encountering numerous Japanese corpses. Shortly after, they met Nagamatsu. Tamura separated from the group and joined Nagamatsu to meet his friend named Yasuda. Tamura asked Yasuda if they would also go to Palampon, and Yasuda replied that he would accompany Nagamatsu to Palampon because only Nagamatsu helped him navigate the forest. That night, Tamura and his group continued their journey. They walked through the dark forest and soon their movement was detected by American forces. The Americans slaughtered them, leading to the death of the Japanese soldiers. However, Tamura managed to survive the attack. Initially planning to surrender with a white flag, Tamura intended to meet the American soldiers. However, from his hiding place, he witnessed a Japanese soldier attempting to surrender being shot by Filipinos accompanying the American soldiers. Tamura abandoned his surrender plan. Tamura continued walking aimlessly through the forest as his condition worsened. Experiencing hallucinations, he believed his comrades were still alive. Tamura even contemplated eating the leg of a dead Japanese soldier he encountered. However, Nagamatsu appeared and helped him, providing Tamura with a drink and a piece of meat. The following day, Tamura gathered with Nagamatsu and Yasuda in their hiding place while eating. They conversed, and Nagamatsu ordered Nagamatsu to hunt monkeys. Tamura rushed to follow Nagamatsu, expecting a monkey hunt, only to discover that Nagamatsu was hunting surviving Japanese soldiers. Terrified, Tamura, unaware of Nagamatsu and Nagamatsu's cannibalistic actions, attempted to remain calm.
猿を逃がした。見たか。
Nagamatsu reported to Yasuda that his prey had escaped, realizing that Yasuda would kill him. Nagamatsu fled, and Yasuda threw a grenade that hit Tamura. Nagamatsu returned to kill Yasuda, but Yasuda had already escaped. Realizing that Yasuda could walk, Nagamatsu became angrier with Yasuda. Tamura and Nagamatsu endured days of sleeping on large rocks without any activity. One day, Yasuda found them again. Yasuda requested Nagamatsu to kill him, but Nagamatsu cried, unable to kill Yasuda, who had been his companion in the forest. Unexpectedly, Nagamatsu shot Yasuda and killed him with his machete. Even after this, Nagamatsu drank Yasuda's blood. Witnessing this, Tamura was frightened and ran to retrieve his weapon. Nagamatsu, seeing Tamura flee, chased him, but Tamura successfully killed Nagamatsu with the bayonet on his weapon. After Yasuda and Nagamatsu's deaths, Tamura was captured by Filipino civilians. Several days later, upon regaining consciousness, Tamura found himself in a field hospital. The story then shifted to a man writing in his room. That man was Tamura, immortalizing his tale by writing about his past. Such is the tumultuous and harrowing journey of Tamura's story. We hope you find it entertaining. Until the next video, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe.
This is a holy war.
Pretty soon, there won't be anyone left.
No! No, no, go back there. I
will finish this alone. Please come home.
Caesar is home.
What the hell do you think you're doing, huh? Get! That's it.
In the West African jungle, animal hunters are hunting a group of apes. They successfully capture several apes, one of which is a pregnant female. The female ape is bought by a pharmaceutical company called Gensis and is given the code name Bright Eyes. Gensis is testing a drug called ALS 112 through Bright Eyes. Doctors William and Franklin, who are responsible for the ALS 112 trial, are shocked to see Bright Eyes increasing intelligence. Bright Eyes can even complete a tower-building game in 20 moves, almost approaching a perfect score of 15 moves.
The perfect score is 15. Doc, what are you giving her?
Hey, give me that video! Chip number 9. Just one dose.
Will then informs his superior, Jacob, that ALS 112 has successfully increased ape cognitive abilities with just one dose. Will and Jacob immediately hold a conference with the Genesis board of directors. Will explains that ALS 112 can help grow new cells in the ape's brain. He also mentions that Genesis is ready to move on to the next stage, human trials. Will is confident that the drug can cure various human brain disorders. However, there is a side effect. The subject's eyes turn green.
Chimp 9. Here she's tasking at what is called the Lucas Tower. As expected, she was unable to complete the puzzle at all. We gave her what we call ALZ 112. We call it the cure to Alzheimer's. It allows the brain to create its own cells in order to repair itself. We're ready to move on to the next phase, human trials.
Meanwhile, in the lab, Dr. Frank and his colleague try to remove Bright Eyes from the cage for further research. However, Bright Eyes shows aggressive behavior in protecting her newborn. Due to the chaos, Jacob believes that ALS 112 has dangerous side effects and asks Will to fix everything. Will visits Bright Eye's cage and discovers that Frank has found Bright Eye's male baby. Will and Frank realize that Bright Eye's aggressive behavior is not due to ALS 112 side effects, but her attempt to protect her offspring.
I think Carrie's small. She thought we were gonna hurt her baby.
So that's why. She wasn't being aggressive, she was just being protective?
You want me to take it home? I can't take care of a monkey. No, it's just for a couple days until I find a sanctuary.
Unwilling to leave the baby ape in the lab, asks Will to take it home and care for it. With no other choice, Will reluctantly takes the baby ape home and shows it to his father, Charles, who suffers from a brain disorder. Charles is delighted with the ape baby's presence and names it Keezer. 3 years pass and Keezer continues to display exceptional intelligence. He can communicate using sign language and recognizes the alphabet taught by Will.
How old is he? Like a day old? 2 days old?
What are you gonna name him?
Right away, Caesar displayed signs of heightened intelligence. Caesar was signing up to 24 words. At age 3, Caesar continues to show cognitive skills that far exceed that of a human counterpart. And the drug in his system has radically boosted healthy brain functioning.
Meanwhile, Charles' brain disorder worsens. Learning that Charles won't survive much longer, Will decides to inject ALS 112 into his father.
That's my lamp. I'm always... No way to live.
The next day, Charles wakes up early and is able to play the piano again. Charles tells Will that he feels very healthy and wants to meet Caesar. Will is thrilled because ALS 112 seems to be working well on the human brain. Meanwhile, Keezer observes children playing bikes. Keezer goes out and heads to Will's neighbor's yard to get a bike. However, the neighbor's daughter notices Keezer's presence and her father tries to attack him with a stick. Fortunately, Will and Charles arrive just in time to rescue Caesar.
Caesar!
Enough! Stay in the house.
Due to his injuries, Will takes Keezer to the animal hospital at the zoo, where Dr. Caroline treats him. Caroline is amazed that Keezer can use sign language and even asks Will out to dinner at Caesar's request. Over the next few days, Will and Caroline grow closer and take Caesar to the Redwood Forest across the Golden Gate Bridge. In the Redwood Forest, Keezer reaches out to Will for permission to play. After receiving permission, Keezer runs into the middle of the forest and climbs large trees.
Off you go!
Caesar! Caesar!
5 years later, Keezer has grown into an adult and wears clothes like a human. Will and Caroline decide to get married. As they prepare to leave the Redwood Forest, a dog with a similar collar barks at Caesar. Getting into the car, Keezer feels sad, thinking he is just Will's pet. Will reassures Keezer, saying that he is his son, but Keezer insists that Will explain who he truly is. Reluctantly, Will takes Keezer to Gensis and reveals his origin. Will explains that Caesar's mother was shot by Gensis security after being injected with ALS 112, which is why Keezer is highly intelligent.
This is where I work. This is where you were born. Your mother was here with other chimpanzees. Her mother's dead. That's why I took you home to live with me. She was given medicine. Like the medicine I give to Charles. Yeah. That's why you're so smart.
Since being injected with ALS 112, Charles' condition has deteriorated because his immune system developed the ability to fight the virus. In a confused state, Charles attempted to drive his neighbor's car and caused an accident. Caesar attacked the neighbor and bit his finger during the incident. As a result, Caesar was captured by the Animal Protection Agency and taken to an ape sanctuary managed by John Landon and his son Dodge. Will and Caroline are forced to leave Caesar in captivity. On the same day, Will visits the Animal Protection Board to arrange Keezer's release, but his request is denied, and he must wait 3 more months for a hearing.
Be thankful you're talking about court dates. You're lucky they didn't put that animal down.
Due to his father's worsening condition, Will quickly meets with Jacob from Gensis. Will informs Jacob that he had previously injected ALS 112 into his father. Will explains that his father's intelligence increased after the injection, but after 5 years, ALS 112 stopped working. Hearing this, Jacob asks Will to develop ALS 112 further and gives it a new name, ALS 113. On the same day, Dodd and Rodney, his colleagues, feed the apes as usual. However, because Keezer dislikes the food, he throws it at Dodd's face. Dodd retaliates by spraying Keezer with a fire hose. A few days later, Keezer is no longer content in captivity and yearns for his home. He intentionally draws a window on the wall of his enclosure to make it feel like his room. ALS 113 is successfully created in a gaseous form. Will and Frank are once again responsible for testing, choosing an ape named Koba as the first subject. When Koba is about to be given ALS 113 through a respirator, he rebels, causing Frank's mask to come off. The gas hose detaches from the machine, and Frank inhales the gas. The apes are released into the playground, including Caesar. At that moment, Keezer sees a gorilla named Buck confined in a cage. Keezer is also harassed by Rocket, the ape leader. He tears Keezer's clothes and attacks him. Jacob observes Koba's increasing intelligence and is impressed when Koba writes Jacob's name on a chalkboard. At the same time, Keezer communicates through sign language with an orangutan named Maurice, confined in front of his enclosure. Maurice says he learned sign language when he was a circus performer. The next day, Will and Carolina come to the sanctuary to meet Caesar. Keezer is thrilled and asks Will to take him home. However, Will cannot take Keezer yet as the Animal Protection Board has not granted permission. This disappoints Caesar, who returns to his enclosure and erases the drawn window.
Come on, move it, let's go!
That night, Dodd brings his friends to the ape enclosure for fun. Keezer pulls one of Dodd's friends and manages to steal a small knife from his pocket. After Dodd and his friends leave, Keezer uses the small knife to unlock his enclosure door and open Buck's enclosure, which has never been opened before. Buck thanks Keezer for freeing him. Keezer and Buck lure Rocket to the playground. When Rocket arrives, Keezer strikes him and forces him to submit. Carl's disease worsens, and the next day, Will finds his father dead. Will is deeply saddened as he now has no one left but Carl's and Caesar. When Will goes to the Gensis lab, he finds Jacob conducting ALS 113 trials on humans. Will is angry because the side effects of ALS 113 are still unknown, but Jacob insists that ALS 113 is safe. Fed up with Jacob's attitude, Will decides to quit working at Gensis. At the same time, Frank, who has been exposed to the ALS 113 virus, visits Will's house. However, Will is not at home. Frank meets Will's neighbor and coughs in front of him. Will returns to the sanctuary and bribes John to release Keezer. John accepts the bribe. Will then persuades Keezer to come home, but Keezer refuses because he has a different purpose. That night, Keezer secretly leaves the sanctuary and goes to Will's house to steal ALS 113. After obtaining ALS 113, Keezer returns to the sanctuary and releases the gas throughout the room. Inhaling the ALS 113 gas, the intelligence of all the apes in captivity drastically increases. The next morning, Frank is found dead in his apartment. It turns out that ALS 113 has extremely dangerous side effects on the human brain. When Dodd is about to feed the apes, he sees Keezer standing in the middle of the playground. Dodge brings an electric rod and orders Keezer to return to the enclosure. As Keezer remains silent, Dodd attacks him, but Keezer fights back. At that moment, Keezer speaks for the first time. Seeing this, the apes, as well as Dodd and Rodney, are shocked. Keezer then hits Dodd until he faints and locks him in the enclosure. Later, Keezer frees all the apes in captivity. Rodney comes to save Dodd, but he is attacked by the apes. Keezer saves Rodney because Rodney has always been kind to him. As Keezer puts Rodney in the enclosure, Dodd appears holding an electric rod. Before Dodd attacks, Keezer grabs a fire hose and sprays Dodd with it. Dodd faints from the electric shock. Keezer leads the apes towards the city, dividing them into two groups. Group 1 goes to the zoo to free other apes, while he, along with Group 2, heads to Gensis. Shortly after the apes leave, Will and Carolina arrive at the sanctuary. They find Rodney inside the enclosure, who claims that Will's apes can talk. Will also discovers a bottle of ALS 113 in the enclosure area. Will realizes that all the chaos is Caesar's doing. Upon reaching Gensis, the apes destroy all facilities and free other apes, including Koba. They also ambush Jacob, who has just arrived. However, Jacob manages to escape and requests the police to kill the apes. At the zoo, the apes liberate all the apes held there.
They're being led! These apes are smarter than you think!
If you're on the bridge,
On the Golden Gate Bridge, Keezer learns that security forces are ready at the bridge's end. He commands some apes to go under the bridge, while others go over it. Then, Keezer and the remaining apes start fighting against the mounted police. After overcoming the mounted police, Keezer orders a group of guerrillas to push a bus to the end of the bridge. When the bus stops, Keezer appears riding a horse and commands all apes to attack the officers. In the midst of the battle, from a helicopter, Jacob orders the police to shoot Keezer, the leader of the apes. Keezer quickly takes cover and grabs a chain from a car, throwing it towards Jacob. Buck tries to help Keezer by jumping onto the helicopter and manages to make it crash. Unfortunately, Buck is severely injured and breathes his last in Keezer's arms. On the bridge, Jacob pleads for help from Keezer, but Keezer refuses and instructs Koba to deal with Jacob. Koba kills Jacob by throwing him into the river. Upon reaching the Redwood Forest, Will calls out to Keezer, but he is attacked by Koba. Luckily, Keezer intervenes to stop Koba's actions. Will then asks Keezer to come home with him. Keezer hugs Will, saying that he is already home. Afterward, Keezer leaves Will and climbs a tree with the other apes. Will's neighbor goes to the airport for duty. After contracting a cough, he begins to experience its effects, with blood coming out of his nose. His departure to another country will mark the beginning of a deadly virus pandemic worldwide. The ALS 113 virus, initially intended to combat brain disorders in humans, spread worldwide and caused the death of a significant portion of the human population upon exposure to the virus. Over the course of 10 years, the human population continued to decline. Only those with strong immune systems could survive during the pandemic. Meanwhile, the population of primates, particularly apes, increased due to the ALS 113 virus enhancing their growth and intelligence.
Pretty soon, there won't be anyone left.
In the San Francisco forest, Keezer led a group of apes, including his son Blue A, on a hunting expedition for deer. They successfully captured some deer while hunting in the middle of the forest. However, when Blue was about to kill a helpless deer, he was attacked by a bear. Fortunately, Keezer arrived in time to protect his son. Shortly after, Koba also arrived to assist Keezer. Keezer expressed deep gratitude to Koba for saving him and his son. Later, Keezer and the apes returned to their living area near the waterfall. Upon arrival, Keezer went straight home to check on his pregnant wife. Soon after, Keezer's wife gave birth to a male chimpanzee baby, bringing immense joy to Keezer. Keezer instructed Blue to greet his new sibling. After accompanying his wife during childbirth, Keezer talked with Maurice. They discussed their struggle for freedom for the apes and talked about humans. Maurice asked if Keezer still thought about the humans who once lived with them, and Keezer admitted that he sometimes did. The next day, Blue and his friend Ash, the son of Rocket, went into the middle of the forest to practice hunting. However, they encountered a human named Curver along the way. Panicking at the sight of apes carrying spears, Curver pulled out his pistol and shot Ash in the shoulder. Hearing the gunshot, Curver's group, led by Malcolm, approached, as did the apes. Keezer stared at Malcolm and urged the apes not to attack. Malcolm tried to approach Keezer, but Keezer shouted for Malcolm's group to leave. Frightened by talking apes, Malcolm's group quickly left the forest. However, Malcolm's son's bag fell, and Morris took it. After Malcolm's group left, Keyser asked Koba and 2 other apes to follow Malcolm's group. The group arrived at a quarantine station where they met Dreyfus, the leader of the quarantine. While heading to the quarantine, Malcolm's group reported to Dreyfus that they encountered a group of talking apes with spears. It turned out that Malcolm's group's goal was to find a road to the hydroelectric dam that could supply electricity to the city because the quarantine's electricity supply would only last a few more days. Koba and 2 other apes arrived at a tall tower building, which served as a refuge for humans with strong immunity. After learning the humans' location, Koba urged Keyser to attack the place before humans attacked them. Koba, harboring hatred for humans, continued to incite aggression, but Keyser firmly refused to attack. Keyser stated that if the apes waged war against humans, the apes would lose everything. Hearing Keyser's decision, Koba could only ask Keyser to give a strong warning to the humans. The next morning, Keyser and his group went to the tower. Upon arrival, Keyser warned the humans not to enter the forest. If they violated this warning, the apes would go to war against humans. Blue returned Malcolm's son's bag, and the apes then returned to the forest. Humans began to fear after receiving threats from the apes. They were also worried about not getting electricity supplies. Dreyfus tried to reassure everyone, saying that they would attack the apes first to secure the electricity supply in the forest. Dreyfus then spoke with Malcolm. Dreyfus planned to send armed forces to exterminate the apes. Malcolm rejected Dreyfus's plan and asked for 3 days to discuss with the ape leader to gain permission to enter the dam. Dreyfus agreed, but if Malcolm did not return within 3 days, he would send his forces.
You're not back in 3 days. We're going up there, and we're going to kill every last one of them.
Malcolm prepared all the equipment he would bring. Ale, Malcolm's new wife, insisted on joining the forest, as did Alexander, Malcolm's son. Malcolm then went to the forest with his family and 3 companions. Upon reaching the middle of the forest, Malcolm went alone to the ape territory. When Malcolm arrived at the entrance, a group of gorillas captured him, bringing him before Keyser. Facing Keyser, Malcolm explained that he had no malicious intent. He just wanted to show something at the dam. Keyser and his group then took Malcolm to the mentioned dam. Upon arrival, Malcolm explained that he would restore the electricity supply to the city, allowing humans to survive. Malcolm also mentioned that the power facility needed repairs, so he asked Keyser for permission to bring some people to work on it. Keyser granted permission with the condition that humans could not bring weapons.
Just a few. This is your home, and I don't want to take it away from you, I promise.
After that, Malcolm returned to the cart to take all the weapons they brought and handed them over to the apes. As the apes destroyed the weapons, Koba expressed his distrust of humans to Keyser, reminding him of the experiments on apes in the Genesis lab. Eventually, Keyser got angry and told Koba to be silent. Malcolm and his group set up a tent in the middle of the forest. At that time, Curver blamed the apes for the virus pandemic. The virus had killed many families, including Malcolm's wife. Ali countered, stating that the virus was created by humans and apes were the victims.
Okay.
The next morning, Keyser and his group observed Malcolm's group working, but Koba was not among them. Unbeknownst to Keyser, Koba and 2 friends were infiltrating the tower. They discovered 2 humans testing weapons. Koba sneaked into the warehouse and found many firearms. Soon after, 2 humans ambushed Koba. Koba pretended to act like an ordinary ape to avoid being attacked.
I want you ready to go!
The 2 humans then expelled Koba from the warehouse. At the dam, Malcolm and his colleagues are repairing a clogged water channel. They use explosives to clear the blockage, but the resulting explosion causes a collapse that traps Curver's leg. Fortunately, the apes are willing to help rescue Curver. While Eli treats Curver's leg, Caesar, Blue, and Blue's younger sibling approach. Blue's sibling plays near Malcolm's group, eventually opening Curver's suitcase and finding a weapon. Curver immediately drives Blue's sibling away, creating tension. Caesar then takes the weapon from Curver and throws it into the river. Malcolm tries to calm Caesar and apologizes, but Caesar rejects Malcolm's apology and instructs Malcolm's group to leave immediately. When Malcolm and his group are packing up, Malcolm decides to approach Caesar again for another chance. Malcolm and Eli then visit Caesar's house and find that Caesar's wife is sick. Eli offers to treat Caesar's wife with antibiotics. Caesar reluctantly accepts Ellie's offer and gives Malcolm's group another chance to fix the dam. Blue is angry with his father for giving humans another chance. After treating Caesar's wife, Malcolm and his group prepare to go to the dam. However, Curver has to stay alone in the car. As Malcolm's group starts working on fixing the dam facilities, Koba arrives. Seeing the apes helping human work, Koba shouts Caesar's name. Facing Caesar, Koba says that Caesar cares more about humans than his own kind. Hearing this, Caesar becomes very angry and attacks Koba. That night, Koba instructs Blue. Because Caesar cares so much about humans, Koba asks Blue to watch over Caesar from humans. Blue is influenced by Koba's words and starts to resent humans. The next day, Koba returns to the tower to meet the two humans who previously expelled him. Koba once again pretends to act foolish and casually sits with the two humans. When they are off guard, Koba takes out his weapon and shoots them. That night, Koba returns to the forest and approaches Curver in the car. Koba forcefully pulls Curver out of the car and kills him. Meanwhile, Malcolm's group has successfully restored electricity at the dam, connecting it to the urban area. Caesar's wife's condition has also improved after being injected with antibiotics by Eli. When Caesar looks towards the city, Koba appears carrying a weapon. Only Caesar sees Koba's presence. Unexpectedly, Koba shoots Caesar. Koba leaves, leaving the weapon and a human hat where he shot Caesar. Blue finds the weapon and hat, and the apes believe that humans killed Caesar. All the apes are very angry. Morris immediately instructs Malcolm's group to leave. Shortly after, Koba appears and convinces all the apes that humans have killed Caesar. Koba also orders all the apes to go to war against humans. The emotionally charged apes finally follow Koba's command. Koba then leads the male apes to the city, while Malcolm's group hides under the trees. In the tower, humans celebrate the successful activation of the power resources. Meanwhile, Dreyfus tries to make contact with another city through the radio. Shortly after, Koba and the apes attack. The apes head to the weapons warehouse, while Dreyfus and his people prepare at the entrance gate to face the apes. Other citizens take cover. After obtaining weapons from the warehouse, the apes immediately attack the tower. Koba and the apes have defeated the humans and taken them as prisoners. Meanwhile, Malcolm and Eli find Caesar lying stiff. Eli approaches Caesar and sees that Caesar's eyes are still moving. They immediately take Caesar to the car for treatment. While being treated, Caesar tells Malcolm that he was not shot by humans but by Koba. Meanwhile, the apes continue to hunt down humans trying to escape. Koba captures a human who tries to resist and then orders Ash, Rocket's son, to kill the human. But Ash refuses, stating that Caesar never taught them to kill. Hearing this, Koba gets angry, drags Ash upstairs, and kills him. After killing Rocket, Koba locks the humans in the tunnel. Koba also imprisons Morris and Caesar's loyal followers inside the bus. Meanwhile, Malcolm takes Caesar to a house, which turns out to be Will's house where Caesar used to live. To remove the bullet from Caesar's chest, Eli needs medical equipment. Malcolm goes to the city to get the necessary medical supplies. Eventually, Malcolm finds the medical equipment at the health center. When Malcolm is about to leave the place, he encounters Blue. However, Blue remains silent and does not capture Malcolm. Malcolm then informs Blue that Caesar is still alive. Malcolm brings Blue to the house where Caesar is being treated. Blue is very surprised to see his father still alive. Caesar then tells Blue that Koba was the one who shot him. That night, Caesar's condition started to improve. Caesar asked Blue about the well-being of his mother and younger sibling. Blue answered that his mother was still safe with other female apes. Blue also informed his father that Ash had been killed by Koba. Caesar then instructed Blue to free Morris and his followers to initiate a resistance movement against Koba. Blue released Morris and the apes held captive in the bus. He also freed the imprisoned humans. At Will's house, Caesar played a video of himself being taught sign language by Will. Malcolm arrived and asked Caesar about the man in the video. Caesar explained that Will was a good human, just like Malcolm. Blue soon arrived with Caesar's loyal followers, informing Caesar that Koba had ordered the female apes to join the fight against humans. Upon hearing this news, Caesar, Malcolm, and the others immediately went to the tower through the underground station. On their way, they were shot at by a group of surviving humans. Malcolm instructed Caesar and his followers to go to the tower first while he dealt with the attacking human group.
Don't shoot!
The human group turned out to be Dreyfus' faction. Dreyfus informed Malcolm that they had planted explosives to bring down the tower along with the apes. He had also contacted the surviving military headquarters to come to their location. Meanwhile, Caesar and his group reached the top of the tower. Caesar confronted Koba, calling him a weak ape. In response, Koba challenged Caesar to a fight. In the tunnel, Malcolm aimed his weapon at Dreyfus, urging him not to destroy the tower and let the ape leader handle the situation. Dreyfus refused, stating that the apes had killed many humans. He then grabbed the detonator and blew up the tower. The explosion nearly brought down the tower, and the apes were hit by debris. While Caesar was helping apes trapped under the rubble, Koba shot him. The shot also hit Maurice, injuring Caesar. Caesar attacked Koba, causing him to stagger and almost fall from the tower. Caesar grabbed Koba's hand, and Koba claimed that apes do not kill apes. However, Caesar responded that Koba was not an ape and dropped him. Malcolm, who had survived, approached Caesar and informed him that military reinforcements would arrive soon. If the ape community did not leave, a massive battle would occur. Caesar told Malcolm that the apes did not start the war. It was the humans who would not forgive them. Caesar instructed Malcolm and his family to seek shelter before the battle began. Caesar and Malcolm acknowledged their friendship but realized that apes and humans could no longer make peace. After Malcolm left, Caesar stood before the apes, reclaiming his leadership. After a great battle between the ape and human factions, now Keezer and his group are hiding in the Moir Forest. However, the remaining United States military forces in the north are moving towards the Moir Forest to eradicate the ape population. A special forces unit named Alpha Omega quietly infiltrates the Moir Forest to ambush the ape base, assisted by some apes, including a gorilla named Rek. When the Alpha Omega forces discover the ape defense base, they immediately launch an attack. Many casualties occur on both sides during the battle. However, the apes manage to incapacitate most of the Alpha Omega forces. The surviving soldiers, including Rex, are captured and brought before Keezer. One of the soldiers mistakenly believes that Keezer is dead. Keezer explains that the dead ape is Koba, who initiated the conflict against humans. Keezer clarifies that he is fighting against humans only to protect his kind. He also reveals that the apes assisting Alpha Omega are loyal followers of Koba, willing to aid them in the fight against Keezer. After explaining everything, Keezer instructs Winter, an albino gorilla, and a new follower, to guard Rex while releasing the surviving soldiers. Caesar then ties the soldiers on horses and leaves a message for the Colonel, urging peace between humans and apes. Not long after the soldiers leave, Winter reports to Caesar that Rex attacked him and managed to escape. While burying fallen apes from the battle, Blue and Rocket return from a long journey, seeking a safe haven for the apes. Caesar brings them to the base, and Blue reunites with her mother, Cornelia, and her younger brother, Cornelius. Blue also reunites with her mate, Lek. As night falls, Blue and Rocket present a map Blue drew during their search for a safe place. However, the location is far away. Winter urges Keezer to leave that night before the military attacks again, but Keezer refuses, deeming it too dangerous to leave the forest abruptly. They must find a safe way out from the humans. During the night while the apes are sleeping, Keezer notices a green laser light behind the waterfall. Investigating, he finds a rope leading downward and realizes that Alpha Omega forces have returned to their base. Keezer asks Blue to protect her mother and brother while he informs the guarding apes that the base is under attack again. Keezer and the guarding apes successfully disable some soldiers. However, when Keezer returns to Blue, he sees the Colonel, the leader of Alpha Omega, has killed Blue and his wife Cornelia. The Colonel tries to escape while shooting at Caesar, who manages to avoid the shots. Keezer pursues the Colonel, but unfortunately, the Colonel throws Keezer over the waterfall. Keezer returns to the base mourning Blue and Cornelia's deaths. At that moment, another ape informs Keezer that Winter has disappeared. After the apes leave, Cornelius, who survived, approaches Keezer. Keezer hugs Cornelius and promises to seek revenge. The next day, the apes prepare to leave for a safe haven. Keezer entrusts Cornelius to Lek, Blue's mate, and decides to hunt the Colonel alone for vengeance. During the journey, Keezer is followed by Maurice, Rocket, and Luca, who insist on helping him to protect their leader. After walking for a while, they find a human settlement. There, they encounter a man carrying firewood. The man attempts to shoot Maurice, but Keezer shoots him first. Keezer approaches the man's corpse and notices an AO tattoo on his neck, realizing he was a member of Alpha Omega. The group searches a hut in the settlement and discovers a mute little girl named Nova holding a blood-stained doll. Moved by pity for the girl left alone in the settlement, Keezer's group decides to bring her along. As night falls, Keezer's group locates the military camp of the Alpha Omega forces, and they spot Winter there. The group infiltrates the camp to meet Winter. Keezer questions why Winter is at the camp, and Winter confesses that he defected to the human side after Rex promised his safety in exchange for revealing the 8 base. Keezer angrily reproaches Winter for the consequences his actions brought to his family. Winter apologizes and informs Keezer that the colonel is traveling to the border fortress due to rumors of another attacking force. Shortly after, 2 soldiers arrive and stand next to a tent. Keezer quickly silences Winter to avoid detection. After the soldiers leave, Keezer discovers that Winter has died from lack of breath. Next morning, Keezer's group follows the Alpha Omega forces heading to the border fortress. Upon reaching snowy mountains, they hear gunfire from the direction of the Alpha Omega forces. After the Alpha Omega forces leave, Keezer and his friends find several dead soldiers, one of whom is still alive. Keezer asks the surviving soldier why he was shot by his own comrades, but the soldier cannot speak and gestures towards Nova, indicating that he is like her. To end the soldier's suffering, Keezer shoots him. The Keezer group then monitors Alpha Omega's movements from atop a bridge, while Nova waits below. At that moment, a hooded figure appears and tries to steal the weapons of the Keezer group. Luca catches the creature, and it immediately runs away with one of the Keezer group's horses. The Keezer group then swiftly pursues the creature until it is cornered in a dilapidated building. The creature reveals itself to be a chimpanzee named Bad Apes, who can speak like Caesar. Bad Apes offers his jacket to Nova and shares his story. Formerly residing in a zoo, Bad Apes explains that he lived there before the simian flu virus attacked. Bad Apes also provides the Keezer group with food labeled California Border. Keezer inquires about the origin of the food, and Bad Apes explains that it comes from a human quarantine camp. Keezer suspects that the camp might be Alpha Omega's destination. Keezer asks Bad Apes to lead them there, but Bad Apes refuses.
No, go back there.
At midnight, Bad Apes and Keezer talk about their respective families. Keezer expresses his desire for revenge against the soldiers who killed his family, while Bad Apes reveals that he has a child taken by soldiers and turned into a slave. Moved by Caesar's suffering, Bad Apes agrees to guide Keezer to the human quarantine camp.
Maybe I take you.
The next day, Bad Apes and the Keezer group head to the camp, bringing a horse. Upon reaching the vicinity of the camp, Keezer and Luca observe the situation and see soldiers erecting poles. Shortly afterward, 2 soldiers ambush them. Rocket arrives to help, and they successfully eliminate the 2 soldiers. However, Luca is critically injured in the abdomen by a bayonet. Before taking his last breath, Luca tells Keezer that he is glad to have protected him. After Luca's death, Keezer tells the others that he will go alone.
I will finish this alone.
That night, Keezer discovers several apes hanging from poles. He looks towards the camp and finds that his tribe has been captured by Alpha Omega forces. One hanging ape is still alive and informs Keezer that the ape convoy heading to the safe haven was ambushed by Alpha Omega forces. The ape also reveals that the colonel plans to exploit the ape's strength before they die. Shortly after, Rex appears and knocks Keezer unconscious. Keezer wakes up to find himself bound in front of the colonel. Caesar tells the colonel that he will kill him for murdering his family. The colonel apologizes, claiming he did not know that the ape he killed was Keezer's family. Keezer is then taken to a pen where he sees adult and young apes separated. Keezer also sees Cornelius screaming hysterically, calling out for him. The next day, Keyser sees a large number of Colonel's troops coming to the pen. The apes are forced to work on building a large wall. Exhausted from not having eaten or drunk since their capture, the apes struggle with the labor. An orangutan falls while working, causing the wall to collapse. The Colonel orders Rex to punish the orangutan with a whip. Unable to bear it, Keyser shouts at Rex to stop. Defying orders, Keyser and the orangutan are brought before the Colonel. The Colonel immediately kills the orangutan by shooting him. After that, the Colonel points his gun at Keyser and orders him to command the apes to resume work. Keyser refuses, stating that his kind has not been given food and water. Lek and the other apes are reluctantly forced to return to work to prevent the Colonel from shooting Keyser. On the other side, Maurice, Rocket, Bad Apes, and Nova observe the forced labor camp from a hill. They begin planning something to free the apes. That night, Rex and a soldier named Preacher bring Keyser before the Colonel. Caesar again asks the Colonel to provide food and water for the apes, as they need strength to complete the work. Caesar also accuses the Colonel of lacking compassion for killing his own kind. Upon hearing this, Preacher is surprised. The Colonel then explains about his son, who was also a soldier. Assigned to search for apes, his son contracted the simian flu virus, losing his sanity and speech. The Colonel was forced to kill his son and other infected soldiers to prevent the virus from spreading. The Colonel also explains that the large wall they are building is a military defense against other forces that may attack their army.
This is a holy war.
Outside the camp, Maurice and his friends find a tunnel leading to the camp. They plan to use the tunnel to free the apes. The next morning, the Colonel orders his men to provide food and water for the apes, excluding Keyser. Caesar, weakened from being restrained without food and water for a whole day, is then placed in a pen to die slowly. When the guard soldiers are not paying attention, Nova approaches Keyser and gives him food, water, and her blood-stained doll. From a distance, Rocket sees soldiers approaching Nova. Rocket quickly enters the camp to divert the soldiers' attention, allowing Nova to escape. After Nova leaves the camp, Rex attacks Rocket and then puts him in a pen with other apes. The next day, the Colonel takes Keyser out of the pen and orders him to work. The Colonel also finds Nova's doll in Keyser's pen and keeps it. While the apes are working, Keyser and Morris communicate from a distance. Keyser informs Morris about the distance between the pens of adult and young apes. At night, Maurice, Bad Apes, and Nova start digging a tunnel. They continue digging until Bad Apes successfully reaches the pen of adult apes. Bad Apes tells the adult apes that he is planning an escape. However, at the same time, water starts flowing through the tunnel leading to the pen of young apes. Maurice is forced to close the tunnel's door. Rocket informs Keyser that the tunnel leading to the pen of young apes is flooded. Upon hearing this, Keyser intends to take the key to the pen from one of the guards. Rocket then attracts the attention of the guard soldiers by throwing dung, making them angry and luring them to the pen. When the guard enters the pen, Morris immediately pulls him into the tunnel and knocks him unconscious. After obtaining the key to the pen, Keyser and Rocket infiltrate the pen of young apes. Finally, Keyser reunites with his son, Cornelius. Caesar and Rocket then move the young apes to the pen of adult apes. After all the apes escape through the tunnel created by Maurice, Keyser tells Rocket that he cannot let go of his hatred for the Colonel. Keyser instructs Rocket to lead the group of apes while he deals with the Colonel. At the same time, enemy military forces from Alpha Omega arrive to attack. In the midst of the battle, Keyser finds the Colonel in his room, drunk. Keyser takes the Colonel's pistol and points it at him. The Colonel tries to speak, but he loses his voice. It turns out the Colonel has been infected with the simian flu through Nova's doll. This is why Nova cannot speak. She is also infected with the simian flu. Keyser abandons his intention to kill the Colonel, but the Colonel takes over the pistol and ends his own life. The battle continues. From a distance, Keezer sees the apes who manage to escape the camp being shot by soldiers. Keezer takes a grenade belt and tries to throw it at an oil tank, but he is shot by Preacher before he can do so. Rex, who had been assisting the soldiers, cannot bear to see his kind being shot and finally defects. He shoots Preacher, who was about to kill Keezer, but is then shot and killed by another soldier. Keezer then throws the grenade towards the oil tank, causing a massive explosion in the camp. Keezer emerges from the tunnel and sees the enemy forces from Alpha Omega being surrounded by their own soldiers. Some soldiers notice Keezer and prepare to shoot him, but suddenly, an avalanche occurs due to the explosion in the camp. Keezer and the apes quickly run towards the hills, while the soldiers are buried under the avalanche. The apes successfully escape the avalanche. Nova also survives. The apes continue their journey to the safe haven. Upon arrival, the apes feel happy and celebrate. Maurice notices that the wound on Keezer's chest is severe. Keezer asks Maurice to take care of Cornelius. Realizing that Keezer won't survive much longer, Maurice tells Keezer that Cornelius, Keezer's son, will know what his father did for the ape community. Caesar then takes his last breath in front of Maurice.